Buenos dias, mis amigos. You're watching Broken Dolly TV once again, and I am your host, Gypsy. Don't you like the way I said that as if there's somebody else hosting over here? If you came over here from my previous upload, which was about doll hair, specifically about dolls that have intricate hairstyles and updos when we purchase them, I was talking about in that video what the doll's hair looks like and what the condition is like when you take them out of those hairstyles, how easy or difficult it is to manage that hair, and what the rooting job looks like. As promised, I do have another set of dolls that I'm going to be showing you guys. We're going to be exploring the same thing with these dolls, and we'll see if we have different results with these dolls. And for an example, I talked about in that video how I do have a few dolls, like literally a handful, that have their original hairstyles intact. I haven't taken them down, and I don't plan on taking them down because I already like the hairstyle the way that it is, and it feels like it's going to be too much for me to try to duplicate that hairstyle later if I want to put it back the way that it came. So I just wanted to show you guys that for an example real quick. If you're wondering which dolls these are, this one I call Imagine, and I will be sure to put her sculpt name and the original doll identification up on the screen so you guys can track this doll down if you are looking for her. The same with this one, Pilar, and she's a Fashionista's doll who did not come on this body, of course. Neither one of these dolls came with these bodies. I did swap them out. For example, with this doll, you can see that it's supposed to look like a bun, and from the back, this is how the hair looks. I can't really tell how long her hair is if I was to take it down, or whether or not she'd have a bunch of bald spots in the middle. But I can just tell from the way that her hair is looking and how tight this ponytail is that it's very likely that her hair does have directional rooting. With this doll, because she has curls, I'm less concerned about the directional rooting that's possible with this doll. I'm more concerned about the amount of hair that she will have on her head if I was to take these down. With curly hair, it's a little bit different for me because even if the hair is rooted to go up, because they're very curly, you can kind of get away with like an Afro-licious type of a look. So it doesn't have to lay flat. But if the doll's hair is rooted very sparsely, then that could be a problem. These dolls have like gel in their hair, so it's stiff. You have to like wash it. You have to do all this stuff to manipulate the hair in order for it to lay as flat as you want it to lay, if that's how you want to style the doll's hair. Now with this one, this is the closest I could find in my collection. Someone asked me about the J-Lo Barbie, J-Lo red carpet look doll. Her hair is very similar to this, except that I think with the J-Lo doll, based on what I see in pictures, it looks like her hair is like flapped over. It's not a complete real bun with like hair wrapped around. I tried to find videos of that doll and what her hair looks like when it's taken down out of the ponytail, but I could not find any, you guys. Only pictures I could find were those of the J-Lo doll with her hair completely like re-rooted all together. I do have a doll here that I'm going to show you guys in this episode whose hairstyle I think is really similar to that doll. If you own the J-Lo doll, then you take a look at your doll's hair in the ponytail and see if you're seeing what I think the hair might be looking like. Then maybe if you're looking at my doll's hair out of the ponytail, it might give you a little bit of an idea of how J-Lo's hair might look if you take it down. Let's see. But we're gonna go over to the dolly station and figure out what's going on with these girls over here. All right, for dolly numero uno, we're gonna look at my Nicona over here. Originally, Nicona was Madam C.J. Walker. She's got the old school Nichelle head sculpt. There's another doll with that same sculpt name, but it's a different face. She was the first Nichelle. And because this era of Barbie's head sculpts have like different characters that they were going by, using interchangeable heads for the same character names, it's a little bit confusing because sometimes she's Christy, sometimes she's Nichelle, sometimes she's Sasha, sometimes she's Jeanquinetta, whatever. I'm just saying the official name for this head sculpt that I know of is Nichelle. When I originally got her, she did have a high ponytail, and it had like some kind of a braid or like a twist in the front of her head that wrapped around the hair. And obviously I took all of that down. Now with this doll, because the texture of her hair for the most part is curly, I didn't really have to struggle with trying to restyle the doll's hair out of its natural form. For her, the curls don't start at the top of the scalp. The curls actually start towards the middle and end of her hair. So the top area that's closer to her scalp is straight. It turns into curls as you get further down into the hair strands. So this is significant because that helps for the hair to lay a little bit closer to the scalp from the top of the head. And then, you know, it kind of like poofs out as it goes down. Now, with this kind of hair texture, it's not quite exactly what I would call Afro hair texture. Although I think you could brush it into an afro. Let's take these glasses off for a second so we can take a look at how her hair is constructed. So Nicona has a part right here in the middle of her head. And I believe this was where the twists started. There was like hair in the front here that was twisted up. I can't really remember if her hair had separate strands of hair that was a different texture. The curls are very like coily, springy kind of curls. I love the texture. This is saran hair, so you can brush through it and it's not gonna get tangled. But because the hair is actually supposed to be straight hair, as you can tell from the top here, these curls are artificially put into the doll's hair. Like it's not already curly hair. So I think that if you were to keep brushing the hair over and over again, these curls will eventually drop out. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just based on my experience with doll hair. Hair like this is not the kind of hair I would constantly brush. And if you have a doll that has curly hair in general, just like with human curly hair, that hair texture should not be consistently brushed and combed through if you can help it, because it will cause the hair to break, tangle, lose the hair texture, and just become very unruly and crazy for you to manage. So don't brush your doll's curls unless you want the curls to come out. I did give her a boil wash. I didn't like stretch her hair or anything. I just boiled it so that it would lay a little bit flatter and not be like flying up in the air. But if I wanted to brush this hair into like a big hairstyle, I think I could actually do that and it would work for her. Overall, she does have a whole lot of hair in her head. When we go through the scalp, you can see that there's very little scalp that you can actually see in this doll's head. It's thickly rooted, lots and lots of hair. And even with this texture at play, you can still do different hairstyles with this doll. You can give her ponytails, you can tie it up, you can, part it this way and that way, and just do all kinds of different things with this hair. If you wanted to straighten this doll's hair, you absolutely could. This hair would straighten very well with heat from a flat iron. When you pull on these curls, look at how long they are. Her hair is probably pretty long once it's straightened out, so it might actually look really cute, long and sleek. But I'm not sure if this doll's hair has directional rooting. I mean, here you can see that she does at the split in the middle here. This side roots that way and this side roots that way. But other than that, the rest of the hair, I don't know how much it will float if you did try to straighten it, because I did not attempt to do that with this doll's hair. And I don't intend to do that anytime soon. If I do, for some reason, I'll be sure to update you guys with my results. I don't think she would look bad with straight hair, to be honest. I would risk it, even with some slight floating, because the weight of this hair to me just feels like very manageable type of saran. Not all saran is the same. Not all doll hair, even of the same material, is the same in its behavior, depending on the length of the hair, the weight of each of the strands of the hair. Some of them are thicker, some of them are thinner. So it just depends on the batch of hair that they use for that doll. And I don't see a bunch of like bald spots. That would make me nervous about her hair being too straight and you being able to see right into her scalp. I'd risk it. So now we're gonna move on to the next one. Next up, we have Siggy Ranson, who I named after my childhood imaginary friend. Stop judging me. She is original as Style So Sweet Fashionista number 56 with the Mbili head sculpt. And this is how long her hair is. She originally came with a very, very high ponytail, and you can tell from the pictures that even with her ponytail up high, her hair was super long. It was like almost down her back. Now, Siggy's hair is very special because it is a different hair texture than most dolls in my collection. As you can tell, she's got like crimples in her hair, is that what they're called? On camera, I don't know if it shows very well, but I can see it with my eyes. You might hear people saying that this is like a relaxed hair texture. If you wanted to compare it to real life hair textures, you know how sometimes Black women, they have the curls in their hair sometimes can be extremely, extremely curly and very coarse, almost like the hair is shrunken to its ultimate degree, like as much as you could shrink the hair as possible. So you can't actually see the length of the hair until it's stretched out, right? So her hair might look really short in its natural state, and then when she gets a relaxer, which is a type of hair perm that a lot of women of color tend to use, the relaxer does exactly what it sounds like. It relaxes the coils of the hair. So once that hair is relaxed and then she like blow dries it, not straighten it with a flat iron, this is the texture that her hair will end up looking like once that's done. So that's what this hair texture mimics, which I think is so authentic to the look they were trying to give her, like a long, blown out, relaxed type of a hair texture. A really cool, clever thing that they did with this doll's hair that I can tell whoever designed this doll put some thought into this hair texture to represent this type of hair, because in real life, women do actually wear their hair like this. Basically, relaxed and blow dried her natural hair, and that's what you get. Also, she did not come with the baby hairs. I drew those on for this doll. I believe Siji never had a part in her hair. It was like a high ponytail. Everything was pulled back. I just brush a part into her hair when I feel like it. But I cut her hair here in the front. I did make some layers here that are a little bit shorter. If you see that, it didn't originally come that way. But other than that, I didn't really manipulate this doll's hair much at all. I don't recall heat pressing this hair either, because I don't want to mess up this texture. I think this texture is so cool and I don't want it to go away. I haven't put any significant heat on her hair, so I brushed the hair as flat as I could get it. I just put like a hat on her head, like a beanie or something, and I just left it there for days and days and days. When I took the beanie off, then her hair was laying flat for me, and that does work for me with certain kinds of hair textures and strands. Here's the thing, I think there's a myth that when I say the doll's hair is directionally rooted, I'm saying this about every single doll that has a high ponytail, but that is not the case. Not every doll that has an intricate hairstyle has their hair rooted directionally. Some do and some don't. I even have dolls that have directional rooting whose hair was not even in like a fancy hairstyle. It was just like half up, half down kind of a hairstyle, and they still use directional rooting for that hair. So I just want to clarify that when I'm saying that, I mean only certain dolls have that and some dolls don't. And in this doll's case, I don't really see evidence of directional rooting for her. When they don't use that technique on the doll's hair, it's much easier to get the doll's hair to lay whatever way you want it to lay without having to put a whole bunch of heat on the doll's head. For this doll, if you have her and you're scared to take her ponytail down, you shouldn't be. It's pretty easy to tame. Like I said, I didn't really need to use any heat on this doll's hair. I didn't put a flat iron through it at all, and I did not dunk her hair in boiling hot water to get it like this. It just wants to lay like this. Very, very low maintenance, very easy to style. The only thing I did different for her was that I did cut a few layers into the front of her head because I felt like it was way too long in the front and it was just all up in her face. But I didn't even need to do that. It was just my personal preference to do that. Her hair is very well behaved, very easy to style. I can do just about anything I want to do with it. And like I showed you guys, the rooting is not bad. It is pretty full. Here way in the front, I'll say that I think it could be thicker, but I think that it's a little bit thinner rooting in the front, not sparse rooting where there's lots of gaps and spaces in between each hole, but each hole has less hair plugged into it than in the back. That's because her ponytail was up so high and they needed it to be tight in the front so that it lays very flat. So that they tend to do that with dolls whose hair is like that. So that's the only thing that you want to be watching out for, is the way that you're parting her hair so that you can't see the scalp. But that's not hard to do with this doll because you can just brush her hair back and call it a day and it still looks fine. You don't need to give her a part. You don't really need to do much more than this. You know, you'll have to decide for yourself if you think it's worth the risk of taking her ponytail down. That's what you're gonna be looking at. Okay, thank you, Siji. Now we're gonna take a look at Sequoia here. She is originally a Barbie Looks model number 7. Her face sculpt is called Tamika. Koi also had a very high ponytail that was curly when she was originally deboxed, which is a very pretty hairstyle. She does have really long hair. It's reaching all the way down to her knees, but keep in mind it's not fully straight, so her hair is actually even longer than this, and the curls are giving her a little bit of shrinkage. I'm pretty sure that when she comes in the box, her hair is a lot curlier than this, but because the natural texture of this hair is actually straight hair that they put artificial curls into, if you manipulate this hair a lot, the curls are gonna drop right out. At first, I did actually boil curls into her hair to make it very, very curly and springy, and it looked really cute, but eventually those curls dropped right out again. So if I want to revive that look, I'll have to do it all over again, and I just can't be bothered. So I just enjoyed the time that I had her on display with that hair texture when I had it going on. It was just too much, okay? But it did look fly. Now, another significant thing about this doll's hair is that Though it looks very burgundy on camera, her hair actually has purple strands mixed all the way through the hair, and it is so beautiful. Purple and burgundy hair like I have never seen before. It's just amazing, the blend of hair color that they use for her. I swear there's also some orange in here. Like there's like an auburn kind of an orangey tint along with the burgundy and the purple. It's just a very unique blend of hair colors I'm really impressed with. And it's very unique to this particular doll. She's the only doll I have in my collection that came with hair this color. Let's take this little headband off though. It looks so adorable on you, Koi. And let's take a look at her actual hairline. So of course her hair was styled to be up in a high ponytail. It's supposed to go back like this. Her hair, because of the length and the weight, it does naturally want to just lay down and be pretty flat. So if I was gonna be bothered to straighten her hair, I think it would straighten very nicely and would be really well behaved, and you should be able to do pretty much any style you want. And because she has so much length to work with, you can actually further customize this doll by cutting layers into her hair or just chopping it shorter. Even if you chop off a good 3, 4, 5 inches, you're still gonna end up with a decent amount of length on this doll's hair to still be able to style it any way you want. So this is not a doll that I would be so concerned with removing the ponytail from, and because the ponytail itself, it's so simple and easy to duplicate. If you hate the doll's hair in a different style, you can always put it back into the ponytail it came with and be done with that. Like, you don't have to worry about losing the hairstyle once you change it. Very low risk and low maintenance hairstyle, I think. Again, I don't really see evidence of directional hair rooting used with this doll. I think they just rooted her hair regular like this and they pulled it up into that high ponytail. Let's see. Let's part the hair. Yeah, I'm pulling the hair strands away and I don't see empty space than what you would normally see in a doll's head that's got this much hair on it. Even here in the top of the head, to me this just looks like a normal amount of rooting that they would be doing with any Barbie that had her hair styled down in the first place. Nothing too concerning here. I think they did a good job with this one. If you want to take her ponytail down, have at it, sis. You're gonna have lots of options with this doll, with or without the curls. Now in her case, I did dip the ends of her hair into some boiling hot water and brushed the curls out, because the curls were not uniform and they were just kind of like all over the place. So I brushed it as much as I could, and this is what we ended up with for the texture, which is what I mean when I told you guys earlier about Nicona's hair. If you keep brushing these curls, then they're gonna eventually just like drop out completely. It's not going to be straight completely unless you straighten it, but it's going to be something like this if you brush them out, okay? Please don't do that unless you are on purpose trying to brush the curls out. The next girl I want to show you guys is Tambourine Jackson over here. She is originally a Playline rhythmic gymnast doll. Her face sculpt is called Dea. Now, Dea does normally have an open mouth sculpt. I used my technique that I showed you guys a tutorial on how to do to close her mouth, and I just don't like to look at dolls that are showing too much teeth unless they're very specific sculpts. So that's why she might look a little bit different than the Dea sculpts that you guys are used to seeing. This is the doll that I was thinking of when my viewer asked me about the J-Lo doll. J-Lo's hair in the pictures look very similar to me to how this doll's hairstyle is slightly different, of course, because I think with J-Lo, they gave her like 4 rolls around the bun to appear like it's a bun, but I think the way that it folded over was similar to this doll's. I did take some pictures of the process of when I took her ponytail out, because I only recently took her ponytail out. All this time she's had her hair up in that bun, and I didn't have any intentions of taking the hair down until I decided I was gonna make this video. Boy, was it gelled to the brim. I mean, it was crispity crunchity level gel in that doll's hair. I had to wash all of that out first before I could go on with the next step of actually trying to style the hair. And you'll see in the pictures that I had to use rubber bands to hold down the hair in the direction that I wanted it to fall when I was boil washing the doll's hair too, because otherwise it would have just been floating all over the place because her hair length is so short. Let's look at it from the back. So Tambourine's hair, when I brush the hair, As you can see, it looks like she's got like curls just flared all through her hair. I didn't do that. That's just the way that her hair wants to sit. But yeah, even when I pull on the hair, the longest point is right here, way in the back of her head. All throughout this doll's hair, the hair is cut in many different lengths, which I don't think that's on purpose. I think that was done while the doll's hair was already up in a bun. Because if you look up here at the top part, you'll see that this part has barely any length. Do you see how short the hair is way up here at the top? Oh man, so many attempts I had to make to try to make the hair lay down because it wants to just sit up in the air. The hair in the back is longer than the hair up at the top of her head, but that's because more of it needs to be pulled up in order to get it into that tiny little bun. So I think what they did was the doll was rooted with longer hair. They put it up into the bun style that they wanted to style the hair in, and then maybe they used like a rubber band to hold it in place. Then they chopped the hair around the length of the bun to make it look nice and neat, and that's just what we ended up with for the length. So it's all over the place when it comes to the length. I'm making it work, but this for sure is going to take some maneuvering and multiple attempts of trying to get the hair to lay a certain way. And depending on your particular doll, I honestly think that if you had like 3 of these dolls with the exact same hairstyle, when you take their hair out of that bun, they're all going to be slightly a little bit different in length. I don't think that it was done with any uniformity in mind. They were just trying to get the bun to look a certain way when it's tied. So that's just my hypotenuse when it comes to the whole thing. I'm so over these planes. I swear, since I started filming, like 7 planes have already gone over us, and I had to keep pausing and waiting for them to go away before I start filming again. Like, where's y'all going? Yeah, so yeah, as you can see, her hair, it just wants to stand up in the air. It's been boil washed like 4 times. It's very short, so it makes it even harder to tame. This is about the best I can do with this doll's hair. So this is absolutely one that I'm probably gonna end up either trying to set the hair. Like, this is what I use hats for. I'll put the hat onto the doll's head to try to use it kind of almost like a heat cap. I don't know, something to that effect. And then usually the hair will just kind of mold in place if I do it just right and keep it on for as long as is necessary to do that. But there's just no guarantees. It really depends on the doll's hair and whether it wants to behave or not. It is a very nice, soft saran hair texture, so I do like that about it. I don't mind her hair being like this because honestly I don't have any other dolls that have this kind of like look with the short hair and the little flared out curls and stuff. It kind of looks dainty. I would have wanted to see a little bit more length for her, you know, and I would want for these curls to be more uniform in the direction that they're going. They just feel like they're just going in whatever direction they feel like going in. If you have a doll that has a similar hairstyle to this, like the J-Lo doll, I would anticipate that this is something along the lines of what you might have to deal with, depending on how much length the doll's hair has in that bun. It's gonna be easier to deal with it once you bring the bun down. It's probably gonna be something very similar to this. So if that's something that you don't mind experimenting with styling, then have at it. Take that bun down. I totally would, to be honest. If I had the J-Lo doll, she's on my grail list. But like, if I had that doll, I would absolutely take her hair down because the curiosity would just bug me to death. I gotta know for myself, and if I just hated it, I would eventually just put it back up into a high ponytail. It will never be in its original state. Like, even if you try to put it back into the ponytail, it's not gonna look the way it looked initially, but it'll still be nice and neat if you decide you really wanted to do that. I would just take the chances, as long as she's not bald headed on the inside, because that's another thing too. Because it doesn't have a bunch of bald spots, it makes up for the fact that it is pretty short, and she does look cute with like a headband. I think I can work with it. I don't regret taking down the bun, honestly. I probably eventually would have anyways, but I did it sooner than later just because I wanted to show you guys in the video what it was looking like. I swear she's got like this one strand of like a dark hair color right in the middle there. What the heck is that about? Next and last, we've got Miss Tabitha here, who her friends call Tippy. Tippy is originally a Toy Story 4 doll with the superstar face mold. She had a high ponytail as well when I first got her. Lots of length in her hair. I did take it down and boil washed it. She could stand to use probably like 2 more boil wash sessions, to be honest, because I think this doll does have directionally rooted hair where her hair just naturally wants to go up into the air, at least definitely here in the front. Let's take this little headband off for a second. Her face takes me back to the 90s when I first started getting into Barbie dolls. Her bangs are very well behaved. I think these bangs had gel in them at first, but when I styled her hair in the hot water, obviously it washed out, and even so, it didn't get messed up. When I put her hair in the water, what I did was, I think I wrapped like some kind of rubber band or something around her head like this so that I could press the hair as close as possible to her head, because it's gonna float when the hair is dry, and this is basically what I ended up with. Other than that, I didn't do much else to the doll's hair. So because I don't keep this doll out on display that much, I didn't feel the need to really go in with her hair. As you can see, there's lots of dents in the hair where the ponytail was that haven't come out. Based on the texture of this hair and the way, and just the way that it wants to behave, I don't think this hair is hard to work with. If you wanted to actually like straighten this doll's hair properly with a flat iron, I think you could get good results with her. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be super flat, but it will be flatter than this. And I do have a tutorial if you want to see my method of how I flat iron my doll's hair that I have linked in this video, so you can go and watch that. There is a certain way that I do it so that I don't burn my doll's hair strands. But other than that, I think her hair is pretty well rooted. I don't think there's too many sparse spots that need to be a big concern. I don't think her hair has a particular part created for it, so you should be able to move the hair around in different directions, aside from the bangs, of course. But for the most part, this doll's hair is pretty versatile. She's another one that could probably benefit from like her hair being set with a hat. I wouldn't use this hat. I like to use beanie hats more, and hats that are just a little bit deeper so I can really like squish my doll's head in there. I'm just using this as an example to show you guys kind of what you can do to press the doll's hair close to the scalp. Just let it sit like this for days. Sometimes it works in hours, but I just like to be thorough, so I'll let it sit for days. And then when you take the hat off, it will be like just pressed down close to the doll's hair. So when you brush it and it comes up a little bit, it floats a little bit, but not so much that it looks bad. Could she use a little bit more work? Yeah, definitely. But the kind of ponytail that this doll had, you know, it was very flexible, very easy to work with. The hair is not giving me too much problems for the most part. Perhaps I'll actually spend some time to properly straighten this doll's hair just to see what it might look like. But I like to use this character as my alternate Barbie Rewind doll. I have two Barbie Rewinds that are official Barbie Rewind dolls, and this doll, because she has that old school head sculpt, I think it just looks really good with them. I didn't want to get the other Barbie Rewind doll that had this face sculpt that came in that line because she just was kind of cornball to me. I use her as my stand-in for that doll instead. So that's why I don't really display her that much, because I don't really display my Rewind dolls too much. So if any of these dolls are dolls that you guys have you been brave enough to take down their hairstyles? Are you gonna try now that you've watched this? Or have I confirmed to you it ain't worth the trouble and you about to just leave her the heck alone? Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Stay tuned, because next time we're gonna be exploring all the details about these dolls' hair. Let me know if you have a request for a specific doll that you want to know more about, if it's one that you see that I have, or even a doll that you're not sure if I have. You're more than welcome to ask me about them, and I'll try to see if I have that one in my stash. Or if I ever get the doll, I'll be sure to talk about those dolls' hairstyles too. Alright, so that's our show today. Let me know in the comment section if you learned anything new. And the takeaway for me when it comes to doing things like this is that it's not impossible for you to restyle the doll's hair. You do have to get a little bit creative with some of these dolls, because the hair might be rooted or styled in such a way that it's really not meant to be removed from that hairstyle. In my mind, getting creative is just a challenge. It's not something that I look at like it's too overwhelming for me to do it. I look at it like an opportunity for me to rack my brain for new ideas that I normally wouldn't be thinking to do in styling my doll's hair. For this video's purpose, I did style most of their hair just so that it's, you know, plain and it's loose, because normally that's how I style my doll's hair, and I just wanted to have like a baseline to judge all of the different dolls' hair buy. But in reality, you don't have to be limited to only styling your doll's hair that way. You can try different styles, pigtails, buns, half up, half down braids. You can do all kinds of different things with the doll's hair once it's removed from that original hairstyle to try to figure out what works for that doll. You can even cut the hair. Cut the doll's hair into a different style altogether. You don't have to know how to root in order to cut. Don't be limited to what I'm showing you guys, but I'm just showing you the basics of how the doll's hair behaves so that you can kind of get an idea of what you might need to do with your doll's hair in order to get it looking right without keeping it in the original hairstyle if that bores you. So I hope that this helps somebody to gain some perspective, or even to challenge yourself to do this with your own dolls. You might have a stash of dolls that you're like, I really do wonder what their hair looks like. Don't be scared. Take the hair down. Run an experiment of your own. Try out different looks for your dolls and make it like a whole day just spending time with each of those dolls, learning the features of that doll's hair. You'd be surprised at the beautiful looks you guys can come up with. Have a little photo shoot, post it somewhere if you want to, or just to have them on your walls looking cute. I feel like your dolls feel refreshed when you take them out of the original state that they're in and change them up, which is why I love to rebody my dolls, change their hairstyles, and change them out of the clothes that they came in, and just totally like make them unique and make them my own characters. It's another reason why I give names to all of my dolls that are in my collection. I want them to feel like they're different people, just like people in the real world, because that's what they represent to me. So I want to hear all about you guys' thoughts and your own experiences with your own doll. If you have a question about a specific head sculpt or a particular doll and her hair, then leave it in the comment section like the person did who asked me about the JLo doll, which I do not own, but that made me think, what doll do I have that's like that? Maybe I can help this person to figure out, get more ideas for what they can do with the doll's hair. Make sure to leave a like on this video to help other doll collectors who are having this similar problem or having questions about their doll's hair find these videos easier. The more people like the video, the more the algorithm will send them out to people so that they can find them too. It's a great way to participate in our online doll community without really having to do anything. So thank you so much to the people who already did hit the like button, and make sure you're subscribed if you're new over here. Leave it in the comment section so we can get to know you a little bit better. I want to give a special thank you to my homegirl Priya and my homie Blake, who are always leaving comments on my videos and just putting a smile on my face when I see you guys over there. There's a bunch others of you guys as well, but I just always love to see the same people coming back to hang out with me over here because it feels like we're in our own little dolly club. So shout out to you guys and thank you so much, and I'll see y'all in the comment section as well. Okay, that's it for me. I'm Gypsy, you're not. I'll see you in the next one. Have a dolly day.